hi to everyone. Very nice to see you. I know that it's Sunday, beautiful weather, but still you're here. So thank you so much. And I really, really appreciate. As you know now, there's 16 days of activism to eliminate any kind of discrimination against women and fight against gender inequality and gender-based violence happening around the globe. So if you're aware of this, what is the 16 days of activism? Can you raise your hand? Yeah, one person. Great. Another then question why it's important and how it started. Before I really dive into that, I would like to ask a question. Have you ever experienced or know any person who have been a victim of domestic violence?
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, not necessary to raise the hand, but then if you know it, then you know how important is that this topic, right? Have you ever taken any action when it comes to protect them or show the empathy or help them? Did you take any action? Yes or no? But you know the answer. And sometimes we're not even able to do it, right? Because we do afraid or legal framework do not allow us to do it. But anyway, talking about gender-based violence or gender inequality in the world, we should say that there is a international movement, or we call it 16 days of activism, which start usually from November 25 every year and ends December 10. Do you know why these dates are important? No. So in 1979, there was a beautiful convention. Probably you have heard the name is CEDAW, the Convention on Elimination of All Kinds of Discrimination Against Women. So we call it CEDAW Convention. In 1979, there was adoption of the convention. And then December 10 in 1948 was adoption of one of the important laws or in like framework documents in the world is UDHR, right? Universal Declaration of Human Rights. So it starts with the November 25 with the CEDAW Convention and ends on December 10, which is the Human Rights Day and the day of adoption of UDHR. So that's why this period of time, which is 16 days, we call it 16 days of activism. And around the globe, you have seen probably a lot of hashtags. If you go to online, any kind of web page, you will see like hashtag 16 days of activism. Then you will see a lot of UN agencies or fem communities, organizations. They are sharing their knowledge, experience, projects, and anything what they do. So it's important for us for any person. It's not only about feminism, feminist or human rights defenders or anyone who's working on this sector, but even you as a colleague in the office or neighbor or teacher, professors, accountants, so anyone who know or ever heard about this situation, just to be active. And these 16 days provide more activism, let's say. Of course, it doesn't mean that you have to stop your activism on December 10 and then forget about that. But this is a specific days when we do share what we have achieved or what we have to go and do things. So UN Women estimated around the globe that more than 700 million women are victims or have been victims for once in their life by intimate partner or close family relations, be a victim of domestic violence, sexual violence, physical violence, or economic violence. So it means like anyone in your surrounding might be a victim of domestic violence, psychological, physical, economic, it doesn't matter. But probably sometimes we know about that and we keep silent. Sometimes we know about it and try to provide any kind of support. So it's important for us all the time to talk about this situation. I know that in some organizations they do trainings, right? They do sexual harassment trainings or trainings on abuse of authority or violence. So it's important when you hear about that, at least to have a whistleblowing system or to have any feedback mechanism systems where victims can at least go and tell about their situation. So I know that I have the 5 minutes left, but if I talk about myself, I should say that in my situation, it also happened when I was a student. I was discriminated to attend army classes because I was women, and I didn't know about that unless I reached, like, I don't know, 20 plus years. And then when I questioned myself why I didn't have these classes, then I realized that there were no women there. So there were another organization, political organization, where I wanted to go. And I asked them, can I go and then be a member of your organization because I'm interested in that? And they say, like, okay, Dilfuza, we don't have any women. We have only one accountant who is not even sitting with us. So do you feel comfortable to work with the men who feel very comfortable working without women? So, and then of course my resolution was like, well, maybe I don't want to work with that. I was very young and ambitious, but now I understand that this was a clear discrimination based on gender. Another question we can hear about harassment, when your bosses can be harassing little girls or women or any female let's say, colleagues, right, subordinates. And then here it's important to talk about that, because sometimes we do afraid because of our social status, because of our employment. If we are breadwinners, then we're really afraid to lose this job and then to be victim blamed, right, by the society or by the community. So once when it happened to me, my colleagues came to me and said, oh, Dilfuza, don't worry, you'll find a job. And I was like, look, do you think that I'm fired? Let's make it clear. I'm leaving. I don't want to continue my contract because it's very toxic environment. And of course, I complained. I wrote an email, and this person was fired. And even our head was fired after a few months. But I was not in this organization anymore. But the problem is that, and then people came to me and said, like, oh, it happened to me as well. And it's like, why didn't you tell it? I'm a very new person, and then I recognize it but you're working there for 10 years, for 5 years, for 15 years. Why you didn't raise the question? And of course, it was about being afraid of losing the job, being afraid of, being a victim again. And then they say, of course, you are the reason of this harassment. You must be doing something wrong, that you were a victim, or, how they call it, seduce the man, right? So I think it was important. If people would raise it many years ago, the most probably it would not happen now. But the issue is that because nobody talked about it, nobody raised this issue and the question, and maybe it was taboo topic or a shameful topic. So it was more or less keeping between secrets, between each other and etc. So that's why to say at the end, so 16 days of activism is all about us. It's all about sharing the experience, sharing others' notes and etc. So I would say, very key message would be, first is to be active. At least, I don't know, speak up, tell your stories, or at least don't be silent, right? The second is, do not hate, because we see that there's a lot of misogyny between women. We see that there is a lack of solidarity between each other. So the second message I would say, don't be hatred, don't spread hatred, or don't do anything. If you want to write negative comment, or if you want to hate somebody, at least don't do it, right? And the third is support. If you cannot take an action, there is some more situation that people not feel safe, or people afraid, or people are not allowed by their job contracts, probably, or in their family situation. At least do support. Share these things that other people did. So, for example, I'm very active in social media, and I know that there was a lot of tense situation happened this year. Probably most of you or you don't know, but I was one of the group members who worked on gender-based violence law for a year together with other femme activists. Probably you know about Nimalchiu's community. So you know other activists who we were for a long 1 year working with the Senate on draft law to criminalize domestic violence, and finally we criminalized domestic violence this year. It was very tough fight, right? It was long-standing fight, but for us it was very important support of people, not even hating because there were a lot of haters as well, and even in the discussions like this. Be like on the closed doors, we also have a hate and intense conversation with the decision makers. But when people send just a message or likes and saying like, you raise very important question, we are with you. So it was very much lifting up for us because we did it for free of charge. It's just because we believe on a better future and we believe that we can make a change all together. It's not like one person is changing, but it's a community who supports each other. So that's why I say, if you can't do the action, do yourself. Don't hate. Don't spread the discrimination. And third is to support each other because it's vital for human being to have a like-minded support. So I think my 50 minutes is end, and I'm really thankful. Yeah, I don't have a conversation.
I have a question because it's interesting. What to do if victim of domestic violence doesn't want me to do something? What to do in this case?
So the thing is that international standards say anyone who is after 18 years old, they have to write, let's say, claim or they have to go to the police.
Yeah.
Because 18 plus is adult and this is their right to say. But there are some situations when victims do not know there is a Stockholm syndrome, right? They justify the violence of their partners. In that case, I would say maybe to talk to her and provide maybe some psychological assistance as well. Or another time, if you see there is a witness of the violence, if you're a witness of the violence, or there's evidence, inevitable evidence, let's say she was in hospital or she was beaten and everyone saw it. So in that case, you can you can report, and the law allows third parties to report about the case. And then, but here is a very interesting thing. Legally in Uzbekistan, if the victim doesn't want, they have a right to take off the case. The second thing, even if it's in the criminal case, the victim can stop the criminal case because of the reconciliation. So now, personally, me and other femme community and colleagues are working to convince the government to stop reconciliation in criminal cases. Because when it comes to criminal cases, first it has to be administrative case, and then it moves to criminal case, right? So by default, if the person is beating and then the victim end up in the hospital, there is no chance that reconciliation is possible. It's not about divorcing or separation, but it's about impunity that the perpetrator is not receiving. So that's why it's important to have this continuation of the crime or stopping it, because the more people see that victim is, I don't know, can take off the case and then the perpetrator is leaving, then I think there's a strong message saying, okay, whatever you do it, you will be free of charge. There's one, I know that there's a question, just one case, I think Nimalchi and Irina Matvienko, showed, reshared the case yesterday and today that the woman was beaten by her husband and she died. And he is not even called to prosecution because he said, I didn't touch her. I have small kids. I didn't touch her. So there's a full stop. Now we try to make a big, case out of that and say like police has to do something because doctors have to report by the law. But of course, in many cases, when women come and say, no, 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 nobody bit me, and then the doctors even go and call police and say, yeah, of course, she fell out from the stairs. And then you say, like, falling out from the stairs, it doesn't mean that you broke your hand or broke your nose or whatever, and you do not have a bruises, right? But then this is a question about how you make the case until the end in the court or in police. But I think you should take the action.
Thank you very much.